So for the best scorer in the league, in the world, to come on the team knowing he's the best player, he just came out of a finals, he's more experienced, he's older. For him to come in and say, I know everybody in here want to score. I know Wade want to score. I know LeBron want to score and control the ball. I know Melo want to score. I know J. Kidd and Chris Paul want to dictate pace. I know they want the ball in their hand. I know Michael Redd want to shoot. I know Dwight Howard want to control the paint. Like, you got all these guys that want to do what they specialize in, and Kobe Bryant specializes in scoring, and he's looking at this team and saying, we don't need more scoring. We got enough. So as the leader, as the driving force, as the best player, as the best scorer, I'm going to sacrifice my offense, which I love, to play lockdown defense. And if I do that and show that example, they ain't got no choice but to follow suit. That's what he was on. So let's move to the Redeem team, because they just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, right? So the Redeem team was the 2008 Olympic team that Kobe Bryant had to come and save so they can get gold. I think at the World Tournament they got bronze or something like that, and it was embarrassing. And they had to retool. They had to bring in Coach K. Wade was healthy. They brought in Kobe, and the rest is history. They get gold in a amazing fashion, right? So they're getting that. A Redeem team itself getting inducted to the Hall of Fame. So you got Coach K there, Brian Colangelo, LeBron, Wade, CP3, Jason Kidd. I think Boozer might have been there. I'm pretty sure they all was there, but the guys that was on stage with their jackets on, they was getting questions. I think Amara Rashad was asking them questions and interviewing them, and I liked everything that what everybody said. J. Kidd, Coach K, Wade, everybody said something great. But I wanted to point out what LeBron said when he was asked about Kobe joining, because we know that was all about Kobe. That Redeem team was really all about Kobe. That was, Coach K admitted that he was the best player in the world at that time. And the reason why I want to kind of like put an emphasis on LeBron or what he said is because we have so many different timestamps and so many different documentations or where things are documented when they're talking about how great Kobe was and how he was the best in the world at certain points of the time. Because I remember hearing Nick Wright say there was no time in the NBA where Kobe was the best player in the NBA or the best player in the world, at no time. And he said from the time he was drafted, it was Shaq or Duncan. And then from the time the time LeBron was drafted at 18, he said that LeBron was the best player in 03. So from when Kobe joined the league in 96 to 03, it was Shaq or Duncan. And then from 03, and you let Nick Wright tell it to probably 2 years ago, it's been LeBron. That was what he said. And after he said that, I started hearing all the LeBron fans say that. And I'm like, dang, that's revisionist history like crazy, because there's so many times when you watch the Lakers game or you watch the TNT halftime show with Kenny, Chuck, and Ernie, they're talking about just that. Or you hear Mark Jackson and Van Gundy call the Lakers game, and you just continuously hear people say he's the best person that play in the world. He's the best player in the world. Then you get to interview players and they ask who the best player in the world, and people, including LeBron, or they're saying Kobe Bryant. Then you get all the way up to the 08 and Coach K saying Kobe was the best player in the world. So there's a time period from about, I think the Lakers won their first ring in 2000, 2001. You can say it was still Shaq then. But sometime on that second ring, definitely that third ring, the best player in the league was Kobe. So if I want to go from 01 or 02 and at the very least to 08, and then he come back after the Olympics and he win the finals and he beat the super team Boston Celtics, so 09. And then after 09, he come back and he repeats and beats Dwight Howard So 2010. So at the very least, and when did he tear his Achilles? Somebody look up when he tore his Achilles, because in my opinion, the day he tore his Achilles was the day he stopped being the best player in the world. And that might have been 2012. I don't know. So you probably could stretch it to 12. But I think there's an argument from 2002 to 2010 or 11 or 12. I go 10 years from 2002 to 2012. Right. So somebody said 2012 is when he tore his Achilles. So yes, from 2002 to 2012, Kobe was the best player in the world. So I give it to him for 10 years. Give it to him for 10 years. But nonetheless, here's LeBron James talking about how I don't like the word he tried to use, because he's trying to be honest in this moment and give Kobe Bryant his just due, but he couldn't give it to him 100%, right? He couldn't come out and say what we all know about Kobe Bryant and that Redeem team is that we absolutely needed him to win. It was his squad, whatever the case may be. He didn't want to come out and say that. He said he was the missing link. And a missing link is different from a driving force, right? The driving force means without him, we don't go nowhere. He's the driving force. He's the one pushing everything. And when you hear them describe everything, you hear them explain him as the driving force. But the words that LeBron used is missing link. Missing link is when Detroit had a playoff team with Chauncey Billups, Rip, and Ben Wallace. But when they added Rasheed, there was a championship contender. But Rasheed wasn't the driving force. Chauncey Billups was. Rasheed Wallace was the missing link. It's a difference. So LeBron tried to call Kobe the missing link, but it's really not. It's the opposite. He was the driving force. They needed him for that. He was the Redeem team.
LeBron, one thing I always wanted to know, how'd you feel when you found out that Kobe was going to be on that team too? I mean, you're playing with all these stars, but all of a sudden you had a chance to have him on your team also.
I think it was just the missing link that we needed in order to regain the dominance, with Team USA. He brought a sense of seriousness to the team. He made us lock in, and we knew once he joined and he was going to be committed that, we couldn't be doing nothing half-assed. Cole wasn't going for that, so it made myself, CP, D-Wade, Melo, we all locked in even more because we wanted to show him that we could get to that level as well. So, it was just an honor to be out there with him. I was 23 years old, and he being out on the floor with him. He had already won championships before and things of that nature. So it was levels that I was trying to get to, and D-Wade had already won one, and so we just wanted to get to his level and make him proud. And by the end of that trip, we was hosting that gold medal on top of that podium. We for sure made him proud, for sure.
I mean, he said some important things. He said number one, well, like I said, I don't like the missing link thing. I think I don't know if he purposely slighted him with that, or he just didn't have the right words to use for it, but that don't sound like missing link to me. For you to say once Kobe joined the team, everyone knew you couldn't play around. That don't sound like missing link. That sound like driving force. For Coach K to explain that once Kobe showed up, he pulled him into his office and said, I want to guard the best player on each team. I want to guard whoever bringing the ball up, the point guard. I want to lock them up. Right? Defense is going to be my calling card. And him knowing that if he did that, if the best player and the best scorer that was on that team, arguably the best scorer, because you probably could argue Melo or Kobe, those two. Melo being the greatest Olympic scorer of all time until KD just passed him in points. So you could argue Melo, but Kobe, I mean, if you pick Kobe or Melo, it's cool. But so for the best scorer in the league, in the world, to come on the team knowing he's the best player He just came out of a finals. He's more experienced. He's older. For him to come in and say, I know everybody in here want to score. I know Wade want to score. I know LeBron want to score and control the ball. I know Melo want to score. I know J. Kidd and Chris Paul want to dictate pace. I know they want the ball in their hand. I know Michael Redd want to shoot. I know Dwight Howard want to control the paint. Like, you got all these guys that want to do what they specialize in, and Kobe Bryant specializes in scoring, and he's looking at this team and saying, we don't need more scoring. We got enough. So as the leader, as the driving force, as the best player, as the best scorer, I'm going to sacrifice my offense, which I love, to play lockdown defense. And if I do that and show that example, they ain't got no choice but to follow suit. That's what he was on, right? That's what Kobe Bryant was on. I'm going to lock down. I'm going to lock up. And LeBron is talking like, man, we knew we couldn't play around when Kobe showed up. We knew we had to be serious. We knew he was serious. He not coming here to lose. So that changed a lot of things, right? Then you get Michael Redd, who has a podcast, and you can go type in Michael Redd on YouTube. That's the name of his YouTube channel. It's just his name, Michael Redd. And he talked about the Redeem Team, and he talked about Kobe. There's a key thing in theme in this. They're talking about defense.
You know, and we're talking about mid-2000s Kobe, who was kind of, you know, and doing his own thing. So for him to ingratiate himself with us was a huge deal for him. It really was. And he understood the macro that was needed for us to rely on each other when it's time to play in the games. And so
all of you were stars.
Yeah.
Kind of what you're saying, Kobe was on a different stratosphere. Did it feel like that?
For sure. For sure. I think the one thing that I was intrigued with was just the human side of him, though.
Yep. The real hoop heads. You know, when you're saying you're working on footwork with Kobe, or you're, you know, fine-tuning Melo shot, what is that like? What does that actually look like? You know what I mean? Like, what is the one footwork piece you worked on with him? You working back to basket? You working jab stab? What are you working on?
A little bit of offense, but mainly Kobe was working with me defensively, which was awesome. Yeah. You know, because I was trying to get more athletic at that time in my career and redefine my body and all that. So, and we're gonna do a defensive drill. And it helped me. It helped me a lot. And in conditioning, we him ran, you know, did sprints, court, and did drills, which was awesome. He had his trainers, obviously, and I had mine. It was just a wonderful collaboration together. And we learned from each other. And a lot of it was footwork. A lot of it was shooting. A lot of it was posting. A lot of it was defensive, you know, schemes and how to play defense and move your feet, whatever. So there's a mixed bag of everything pertaining to your game.
So Michael Redd, he said, hey, look, man, yeah, we at the Olympics, and, you know, I get to work with all these guys. And the guy that was interviewing him asked me, like, what did Kobe work on, man? Was he working on, like, you know, did you see his shooting drills and what, you know, was he in them? He said, man, Kobe really footwork, conditioning, and defense. Like, you imagine going to the Olympics thinking you about to learn something from the best scorer in the world. And he said, nah, you need to slide your feet better. Let's do some defensive drills, right? And the reason why I know Michael Redd ain't capping is because I heard that before. Jeremy Lin said the same thing when he was playing for the Lakers.
We did 50 minutes of defense. It was me, Kobe, T-Mac, and Wesley Johnson. We didn't touch the ball. Like, it was defensive stance, closeouts, turning your hips, full court slides, like, for 50 minutes. And then at the end, he's like, all right, everyone make 10 transition threes, and then we're going to call it. And I was just like, what just happened? It was so tiring, but it changed my mindset because I was like, yeah, why don't we do more of that? Like, literally, defense is half of the basketball game. And I had never really worked on my defense in a skill workout. And he just spent 50 minutes straight. And so from then on, we incorporated a ton of defense. And that's how I became a really good defensive player. A big part of that, I give credit to Kobe for challenging and reshaping my perspective on what skill workouts could look like.
So you going in there for a skill workout and Kobe is like, oh, no. It's defense, dog. We ain't about to, ain't no basketballs coming out. It's defense. It's moving your hips. It's opening your hips up. It's moving your feet. It's footwork. It's closing out. Defensive drills. Slide your feet. All of that. That's what we doing. He said they did about 50 minutes of that. In the last 10 minutes, they you know, hey, man, hit about 10, 15 threes and we out of here. drenched in sweat for 50 minutes of defensive drills. Imagine that a professional, and imagine a professional like Jeremy Lin said that he's never went to a skill workout and worked on defensive drills. And that time with Kobe actually started the process of him becoming a better defender just by changing his mindset. How many people was at the Olympics in 08 with Kobe and see him in the gym? They get up early and try to get in the gym at 5, and Kobe's already drenched in sweat. Bosh, Melo, Wade, LeBron, Michael Redd, those are at least 5 guys, and CP3, 6 guys have been on interviews explaining it and saying, dang, this dude already in the gym. He already rode his bike 5 miles and came back and finished the workout, and then he's walking out when we're walking in, and he's drenched in sweat. Just seeing that from a leader changed their mindset. And I want you to think about 23-year-old LeBron and 25-year-old Wade seeing that from Kobe and then going back into the league. And I want you to see what they were able to do by that change, and even Dwight, by that change of mindset in the league. Michael Redd said that time he spent with Kobe, when he came back in the league, it felt like nobody could guard him just by being able to play with all them greats every day with the Olympics, especially Kobe Bryant. He said it was like everybody was moving in slow motion when he got back to the league. That's a big deal. But I want you to, before I open the phone lines up, I want you to think about this. I was listening to the artist formerly known as Prince on an interview, and he talked about how when other artists meet him in person, first of all, they're in awe because he's Prince. And then they would ask him the question, will you do a collab with me? Will you do a song with me? Like, he would get some of the greatest entertainers, singers, rappers. Prince, will you do a collab with me? And Prince had one rule. Now imagine you talking to someone who loves music and loves his people, right? And you finally get to meet him face to face, and you're a big enough artist where you think he would want to do that collab with you, right? And he asks you, do you own your masters? Like, that's what Prince would ask you for. When you ask Prince for a collab, his next question would be, do you own your masters? And if they say no, then Prince would say, well, no, I would not collab with you. And the reason why he did that is because he hated, and that's the reason why he went from Prince to the artist formerly known as, because when he was under his record deal, when he first came to the knowledge of how corrupt the record business was and how unfair it was to artists, especially black artists, he said he wanted his contract, but the record company owned the name Prince as the artist. Like, in the contract, he couldn't make music and say Lotus Flower by Prince without it being under the ownership of the company. So he changed his name to the artist formerly known as, and he wouldn't say the word Prince because that's the only way he could do music that the record company didn't own. So after a while, once he got his contract, he started doing his own music, and he owned all his masters, and it was all his. And he wanted to encourage all artists, especially black artists, to get out of their deals, get away from the record companies, and own their own masters. And if you don't own your own masters, I refuse to make music that a record company will own because they're not right. They're unfair. So that was his thing, right? The reason why I explained that is because that's how Kobe was treating this, where these guys would come to him thinking this great offensive player, and man, it's gonna feel like going to go work with Elijah Wan. He go teach me all this footwork in the post and all these post moves. I might even learn a little bit about the triangle. Hey, I can pick his brain about Phil and what you learned about Mike and all this stuff. And Kobe is like, nah, it's defense, dog. It's all defense. And he's being real because this is how he really trained for real. But he's also teaching them a lesson that, hey, you just because you're a superstar and everybody think you're the great, don't mean you get to ignore this part. So he's teaching them a lesson. You got to get tight with this as well. You got to learn this defensive end. Just like Prince was saying, look, you got to own your masters. It's a lesson to be learned in that. And that's why they call him the Mamba. He was the Mamba. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, let's open the phone lines up, man. Let's get 1 or 2 phone calls. And I want to hear what y'all think about, man, like how they talked about this man at the Redeem team. How long you think Kobe Bryant was the best in the world or the best in the NBA? When did it start? When did it end? In my opinion, it started in 2002, ended in 2012, 2013, maybe. I give him 10. I give him 10 years. I give him 10 years for sure. LeBron, I think, as soon as Kobe tore his Achilles, that's when LeBron became the best in the league, in the world. 2012, 2013-ish.